Telling you, you don't realize how bad your brakes are on your car until you start driving another car that has good brakes. Well, the old Impaler's in the garage today because, yes, my brake pedal's pulsing. So I got some warped rotors and got a little treat for this car. And it's something you could do to any 9th Gen Impala. It's a easy upgrade for better brakes. So let's get to it after the intro. Oh yes, this big pile of parts. So, regular brake job, right? You'd think. New rotors, pads. I'm going a little extra, and those of you that don't know, from I believe 2011 to 2016 on these 9th gens, the 9C1 and 9C3 police models had larger front brakes. They were 323 millimeters versus 303. And if I'm wrong, I'll flash the correct numbers on the screen. It is a very easy upgrade you can do to any 9th gen to upgrade to the police rotors and calipers. I will say this right now, if you have 16-inch wheels, you will have to increase to 17s or larger. I would, if you got like an LS or an LT model with 16s, I would recommend just going to 17, because unless you want to change your struts, the LTZ models had different struts in the back. And the struts I would recommend are KYBs. I will put a little card right here to my old 2012 Impala. I put KYB quick struts on that car. Those will fit 18s, no problem. So you're going to want to go to 17s or larger, which you saw last fall. I bought some 17-inch Steelies for my winter tires. And if you want to, you will have to change your spare tire. You can get one from like a DeVille, a Lucerne. There are a few models that had 17-inch spare wheels. I am not, because I'm of the belief that if you get a flat in the front, I always will take a good back tire, put it on the front, and put the spare on the back. Since we're not upgrading the rear, there's no rear upgrade. They're going to stay the stock size. You can put your 16-inch, or you can put your original spare on the rear. It just won't clear the police rotors on the front. So, I went with Ray Bestos. I think these were, oh man, don't quote me here. Let's look on them. They're like E-coat or called something Performance. I'll post everything in the description. I bought these all from Rock Auto. A viewer suggested I get Akibono pads. They cost a little more than the Ray Bestos, but I learned these you don't need to do the bedding in procedure, which can be a pain in the ass trying to find a desolate stretch of road where you can speed to 40, slam on the brakes down to 10, do that for like 15 times. That gets to be a pain in the ass. So I'll link. I got all this stuff at Rock Auto. I'll just put all the part numbers in the description. Since I'm going to be in there, I'm changing all 4 brake hoses. I got OEM Delco. Probably don't need to, but since I'm going in there. Now the front, you are going to need to replace calipers. The stock calipers will not work with these larger rotors. The mounting bracket, brings the caliper out, but the stock caliper will not mount to the police bracket, so you just got to change them. If I can get the box open, I went with remanufactured car done A1 Cardon, I think they're called. These are powder coated. They're powder coated silver. If you like red calipers, you could go with the Power Stops. I don't want red calipers. Yeah, Power Stop sells an all-in-one kit. I didn't want red calipers, otherwise I would consider it. Oh, and their rotors aren't coated for, they don't have a rust preventative coating on them. That was another reason I went with these Ray Bestis. So, I have a Motive power bleeder that I need to dig out of mothballs here and dust off. So I got 2 things of fluid. Because changing your calipers and your hoses, you're going to need to bleed your brakes. Since we're not replacing the master cylinder, you shouldn't need to do a ABS auto bleed. That's one thing you need to do if you have ABS. If you ever change the master cylinder, the auto bleed procedure you need a scan tool that'll activate it. It activates the pump and it pulses it to get, all the air, purges all the air out of the master cylinder. So then you can go and bleed normally. I think since I have that Tech 2 Win scanner, I think I'm going to do it anyway. Just because. So, there's nothing left to do but to get this car in the air and get rolling. Forgot to add, I bought this orange thread locker for the caliper bolts. The caliper bracket bolts. This is it's somewhere between the blue and the red, where it'll hold, the red is like more permanent and it's almost impossible. It'll be impossible to get the bolts out. And the blue is a little too weak. This is right in the middle and it's perfect for caliper bracket bolts. And then anti-seize, I'm going to go through and I'm going to pull off the bleeder screws on my new calipers and on the old ones. I'm going to put some anti-seize on there because, there's going to come a time where you need to bleed your brakes, and these, if they're rusty, they'll break off. It's happened to me quite a number of times, so that's a little added insurance. Anything else I need to add? No, I don't think so. I just picked this up. I'm a Ryobi guy. I started buying these years ago, and all the batteries are compatible. They're not the greatest, but they're pretty good for what you pay. That's my favorite tool right there. The 1/2-inch impact driver. All right, let's get to it. All right, another thing. I've said this countless times in my videos. Do not jack your W body up by the pinch welds. Especially if you live in the Rust Belt. Or using your jack that's in the trunk to jack them up on the pinch welds, fine. But if you got a floor jack, big sucker, put your jack on the cross member. Right there, you'll see there's a hole in the center. Put your jack right there, jack up the whole front end, and put your jack stands on the cradle. That's the safest. And then I like to put my tires under the rocker panels just in case something were to give way. It's not going to crush you. So that's the front. I also wanted to add, I dug my Motive power bleeder out of mothballs. It's got, I'm going to have to flush it out. It's got, I think 10 years ago might have been the last time I used this thing. So I don't know if this hose is gonna rupture or what, but I need to flush that out. For doing your back brakes, you're gonna need one of these tools. They don't cost much from Amazon, but you need one of these to wind, the caliper winds in, and I'll show you when I do the back brakes. Yeah, your regular pad spreader isn't gonna work on the back brakes. I have these 2 different types for doing the front calipers, which we are not going to need to be doing because we got brand new calipers. I'll link to this in the description. You'll need, I think one of these plates. Oh, we'll get back to it when I do the back brakes, but. All right, now on to the back. Same thing with this W body. Find the center of your cross member. And it gets a little tricky if you got dual exhaust, trying to get the jack shimmied past the exhaust. But you get on that little center spot there where your lateral link's attached to. Jack the car up there. And then come over here. And right at the end, you can see there's like a hint of a frame rail. That's where you put your jack stands. And I'm going to reiterate this. Do not put them on your pinch welds. You're just going to crush them. Especially if you got an older car and you live in the Rust Belt, they're probably non-existent anyway. This is the best way to jack up a W body. All of them. I mean, even the first gens are a little bit different, but the suspension looks the same. The frame's all the same. So if you got an old, Regal, Grand Prix, Cutlass Supreme, Monte Carlo, Lumina, Impala, Lacrosse, anything that, what's the other one? Olds Intrigue, anything that was on the W body platform, all 3 generations. All 4 actually, because there's a generation 1.5. Jack them up and put them on stands like this. And this is the time I'm going to go through. I'm going to shoot some PB Blaster on the other side here on the steel. And I think I'm going to hit my rusty struts with some rust neutralizer. I'm not ready to replace these yet, but they got a little bit of surface rust on them. They're kind of ugly. And no, I have not put my ZZP sway bars in yet. Just haven't got around to it. Been kind of busy this summer. Brakes are a lot more important to me right now than doing the sway bars. I do have the lateral links, or what are those called? Nah, I'll flash it on screen. I can't remember what they call them. Put those on a few months ago. Oh, one other thing. The 9th gens have this retaining screw on the rotors. I went through and took them all off when I first bought this car. I got an old video from my old 2012 Impala when I did max advanced brakes on that car, and I stripped every one of these out. They were all just rusted solid. You don't need them. I had a 2004 8th gen Impala, exact same car underneath the skin as the 9th gen. Those rotors did not have those stupid screws in them. They're the exact rotors. And everything was just fine with those. You don't frickin' need them. They're stupid. When you're going to put your calipers back on, just put a couple lug nuts to hold the rotor in place while you put the caliper back on. That's all you need to do. Take them off before you put the wheels on, you're fine. Well, I would say before you take these off, pump the pedal to squeeze them, and then you're fine. But these things are not necessary. Like I said, I live in the Rust Belt, and these are, you even put Antex on them, they're still going to seize up. Alright, so I think that's enough prep work, aside from spraying the blaster. And that's another thing too, you don't need to change the hoses. Mine actually look good, but it's just something that I'm in here, I might as well change them. I need to take the front calipers off and bleed the brakes anyway, so I'm just going to go around at each wheel just like I normally would, so why not a little extra insurance? I think these brake hoses were like $13 a piece for OEM hoses. Why the hell not? So yeah, I'm going to go through. These calipers look like they could use some paint. I'll do that next spring maybe. I don't want to do it now. And if you're so inclined, you could change yours out. But, that's another several $100s to do that. Okay, enough of me yammering. Alright, I'm on the passenger side front. I went ahead and put my pinch off pliers on this hose because, that'll mitigate what rolls out of here. Cardboard on the floor because we're going to make a mess. Now, this fitting here It seems to be a 1/2 inch. I can get a 1/2 inch open end on there pretty good, nice and snug. My 1/2 inch flare wrench won't go on there. I tried a 13 mil just to see. 13 mil is really sloppy. So I think I'm just gonna try busting it with this 1/2 inch. It's not too rusty. I think that's what I'm gonna use to try to get this off. I gotta put a wrench up here. I think that's 5/8. I have my 5/8 with me. 5/8. It's not 5/8. Is it 9/16? No. It's probably metric. 15? Do I have a 15 on me? Yes, I have a 15 right there. Okay, it is not a 15. Huh. That'll be a 16, and the biggest one I have here is a 17. Yep, it's a 16. So you know what? Since I'm not reusing this hose, I'm just going to put a vice grip on it. Make sure you get a flat jawed one, not a curved. Because I just want to, I'm discarding the hose, so I'm going to throw it out. Let's see if we can crack it. Yep, she's cracked. All right. Another wrench won't come off the fitting. Okay. Yep, she's coming loose. Yep, she's coming loose real nice. Okay. So that's the first thing. I have not removed the cap from the master cylinder reservoir yet. I don't know that I'm going to. I don't really want any of this stuff to flow. So we'll work on getting this the rest of the way out. And then there's a clip holding it on. Let's see, I'll show you. Right here, there's a clip. So once you get this loose, pop that clip and then the line will come off. So I'm gonna do that, and then the next thing I'm gonna do after that is I'm gonna go over to my new, caliper, and I'm gonna remove the bleeder and put some anti-seize on it. This one has the new fitting already on there. My other side, it was in the bag, but it came with new banjo bolts. Or, I'm sorry, crush washers. Came with clips for the pads. I'm gonna use the hardware that came with the pads. And then I know I'm getting ahead of myself here. Your retaining bolts back here are 15 millimeter, and no need to take the caliper off of the bracket, just take the whole thing out. And at that point in time, see how we got the wear indicator on the outer pad and it's in the lower position. So those are the ones I'm gonna unwrap out of here for this side. Okay, a little better view here. I turned the wheel all the way to the right. So now you can see I got the line disconnected. See if it'll focus on there. Okay, line's disconnected. I put a rag over the axle, and I'm gonna go in and pop that clip off right there. I'm gonna try to anyway. I don't know how crusty this thing is. Oh yeah, there's some stuff on there. Okay, so there's your clip. There it is. See if you can focus on it. There we go. Mine looks pretty good. That's just, remember, it goes. Let me zoom out. Zoom out. There we go. Remember to put it in that way. Okay, so the hose is out. I can. Okay, here's what the end of that hose looks like. We got a little bit of dribblage coming off of the line over there. Let's reposition this camera. Try to anyway. So you have a 15 mil bolt. Let's see. I can't really see here. There's one here, one down here. Right there, right where I'm pointing. Should be able to find them pretty easy. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, the camera is in the way. Got my new Ryobi electric ratchet. Let's see if we can. Oh yeah. Man, this thing makes short work of that bolt. So here's the bolt. You might want to take a wire wheel to it. You can see there's orange thread lock on that. I might take a wire brush to this, clean the threads off. I'll do that to both of them. All right, let's see if I can get to that top one without knocking the camera over here. Ooh, that's a tight clearance there. Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna work. I don't think so. I don't got much leverage here. Might need to get a deep well socket. Yeah, because this, okay. Well, trust me, we'll get that bolt out and we'll take that caliper off. All right, I put a little extension on there and I got that thing out. Oh man, this one looks a little better. Still gonna wire brush them. So now, I might go turn the wheel straight, but you can just take this thing right off now. Right off. Yep, take the whole thing off. My pads still look, they're wearing down. But these rotors are warped. I'm spilling fluid all down my control arm. I'll have to hit that with some brake cleaner and clean it up. This is a good time to inspect your CV axle, you know, check the boots, check your leakage, look at your ball joints, your tie rods, all that. Perfect time to do that. I'm gonna go straighten out this wheel and we'll get this rotor off and I'll show you how the dust shield isn't gonna line up, and we'll do an explanation on that in a minute here. Okay. Now, since I'd put these lug nuts on here to kind of hold the rotor in place. You can take it off and we'll compare it to the new one. So there we go. Rotor's off just like that. And you can see got a little bit of rust on mine. All right, before I should reveal the new rotor, let's talk about these dust shields. So the police 9C1s on the ladder, you know, after the mid-cycle enhancement in 2012. I think they actually started in 2011. Don't quote me on that, but the police vehicles got the LTZ style front bumper. You know, like I have an LTZ, so I'll show you. So, you know how you have the fog light here, but on the police, there was instead of a light there was a duct. And the duct ran over here, and it directed cold air onto the rotor. And the dust shield is completely different. It doesn't have any of this on there. It's just a couple of things sticking out. And I think there's something that, I don't know if the duct mounts directly to it. I found part numbers online and they are impossible to find. They don't make them anymore. Nobody sells them on eBay. Rock Auto doesn't have them. Amazon doesn't have them. Like, forget it. You're never gonna find anything. So, I'm leaving my stock dust shield. You don't want to take these off. I mean, you got to take the bearing off unless you just wanted a cut. I'm leaving it in place. It's going to be a little bit short, but you still don't want road shit kicking up on your rotor. So leave it in place. It might just be a little bit short, but there's no other alternative. If they sold a bigger plate or anything that would fit on here, I would still recommend not putting it on unless you're doing bearings, because this is a pain in the ass to get off. And if your bearings are good, there's no reason to replace them. So I'm going to reposition the camera and we're going to show the difference in size of the rotors here. Okay, on the left you'll see my new Ray Bestis Performance. Oh, that's got another name to it, but look at that. It's got E-coat on the, oh, nothing on the inside. Pretty cool. For those of you wondering, I looked up Max Advance brakes, and yes, you can get these larger rotors, but they don't do the E-coat on them anymore unless you get the stupid drilled in slotteds. I don't believe in those. I think they're stupid. They're a stupid gimmick. Okay, so I don't know if we can, let's line them up on the floor here. I kind of want to show them side by side. You can see how much bigger this new one is. What I should do is get a tape measure. I'm going to do that. You know, looks can be deceiving. Alright, old rotor. We are coming in at exactly 12 inches. And the new one, whoa, we're at 12 3/4. We can see that on camera here. Let's see here. All right. We can see that. About 12 3/4 in diameter. Here's the old one. 12. So yeah, there's considerably more surface area. How much surface area we got here? We got about 2 1/8. Oh, and look at how much. It's about the same, but you can tell the, yeah, there's a, you know, same pads, I mean, but this is much more area to dissipate heat. That's the idea behind bigger rotors. Now, before I put that new rotor on, I'm just going to take some anti-seize. My old bottle's getting kind of crusty. That's why I bought this. Now, throw a little anti-seize on here. We want the new rotor to stick. Go around on here. And then, I already did. I put a little bit on the studs already. You don't need a lot. You don't want to cake them up, but you want to be able to get your wheels off next time you go to take your wheels off. So just slather this in some anti-seize. You will thank yourself the next time you do brakes. Because, you know, who knows how many years down the road that's going to be. How much more rust will have attacked your car. So just get this good and get it good and coated up. Go around the whole thing. You know, and if you elect to keep those stupid retaining nuts in there, get some in there. Like I said earlier, I am not a believer in those things. Never had them. Never had them on our old cars. Yeah, right. I'm sounding like that old grumpy old guy. It's kind of how I feel the way these manufacturers are going these days. Anyway, now we're ready to put that new rotor on. I got a can of cleaner already. I bought 2 more because you're gonna need to clean all the oils and whatever from shipping off of them new rotors. Okay, now we got the new rotor mounted. I'm gonna see if we can see that dust shield. I mean, it's still just half a fingertip away, so you're not really hurting nothing by keeping it on there. Not much. It doesn't, you know, I suppose it's probably 3/8 of an inch if you think about it, if the new rotor's 3/4. So just leave them in place. You aren't hurting nothing. So now I'm gonna get this new one out and assembled. I think I'm gonna use the clips that came with the new brake pads. Let's see here. So I'm gonna get the hose on here. I'm gonna take this off and put some anti-seize on it. And, I don't know if I wanna try to put the new pads. I could probably put them in here with this bracket on here and just put the whole thing on. Cause, you know, normally I'd hang the bracket and then put the pads on. Oh shit, you know what? We're gonna have to do that, I think. No, I should be able to. Okay, I think, all right. I should be able to put the pads on here and just slide this whole thing on and then bolt this up. But in the meantime, I'm gonna go take a wire brush to these retaining bolts. I might have to chase the paint out of here, come to think of it. Huh, I might have to run a tap through here. Perhaps. I might have, yeah, because I see some paint in there. I might have to run a tap through here or something. This side looks okay. That one looked a little crusty. Now, maybe if we give her... anyway, I'll do that off camera. Okay, but before we do all that, I wanted to compare the two calipers. So maybe we can get these side by side. We can see how much longer that new bracket is, how much farther it sticks out. You can kind of see it right there. I'm trying to get this thing in such a way that it doesn't poke me here. Yeah, you can just see how much longer that sticks out. Okay, so the hose should mount the exact same way. It's the same hose regardless of... I'll have all these part numbers in the description. We got our new hose here. I'm going to mount it exactly that same way. Actually, I think it goes like that. Mount the hose the same way. The hose even came with new crush washers. And oh, a slip. Okay. So when you mount these, remember you got to put a crush washer, one on each side of your new hose. So put one crush washer against this. Put the hose, one crush washer, put this on, and then a crush washer here. So there's one on each side of the new hose, and then it does line up right like that. Let's see on the old one. Here's the new one. So we'll just do that. There's a little groove spot. So do that, and then we'll hang, I'll get the pads on here, the clips, then the pads, and then we'll put her in place and then connect up the hose. Alright, I hope that time lapse there showed the struggle, but I did manage to get the clips in. I put them in through the sides, got them in, I got the pads in, got the hose hooked up with the crush washers. So I'm hoping I didn't really check the pistons to see if they're compressed. I think they are. You know what's funny about these pads? All four of them have the wear indicators on them. They got inner and outers. That's cool as shit. Like, Akibono, props to you, man. That's brilliant. And I did check. All four pads have indicators on them. It's not like I was going to do an inner and an outer on one side and the other side has none. Nope, they all four had them. Oh, yeah, I still got to wire wheel them bolts. But then other than that, oh, and I'm gonna anti-seize the, this bolt here is a 10 mil. I believe, as is this one. I'm going to throw a little anti-seize on the bleeder. And then we should be ready to throw these on. Throw this on, I should say. Alright, coming at it from a different angle here. I got my bolts wire wheeled and I got anti-seize on the end of that bleeder. Now let's see if I can get her on here. Woo. Oh yeah, I did rotors mounted. I sprayed some brake clean on a rag. And I wiped this side and I sat it on this side and spun it, so I got both sides clean. There's a little bit of lint on there, but otherwise it's all clean. Well, this video is getting to be a little too long, so I'm going to bust it up into 2 parts. So we're going to conclude part 1 right here at this point. We're going to pick up right back at this point in the next video, part 2. So stay tuned for that. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in part 2. Later.